share my screen now. Wait. Sorry. Okay, this is it. Okay, first of all, my name is Eriko Mishima. I am currently teaching at Tokyo University as a full-time language lecturer. And then I am so happy that some of you came to listen to my presentation. Thank you very much. And this presentation is based on my action research. I am actually still a student of MAT SOL program at NAFS, and I've been doing this action research for about 3 years, and then now I am going to focusing on cooperative learning and building group cohesion. So I am going to share what I have been doing today. So today I'm going to give you a little bit of a research background, and I will introduce some activities. And unfortunately, because of the time, I cannot have you involved in the activities, but I hope that you can feel a little bit of what I have been doing, and I will share my data and results of the data collection. Hopefully I can finish within 25 minutes. Okay, so I have been teaching English at the college level for about 13 years now, and I always have two groups of students. I teach the students in English majors, and I have some other classes for the students in non-majors required courses. So because I have two different groups, I have been facing some issues especially in non-major classes. They don't have clear goals, as probably a lot of you experienced, but they don't have clear goals. And because the required classes are usually for students and in younger ages, like first-year students, they don't really know each other. And especially only once a week, 90-minute classes, and usually big group. I have 45 students in my reading class, so it's a big class. And they have a different background, unlike they're in, high school. A lot of students are coming from different prefectures, and they have different life situations. And on top of that, since 3 years ago, students have to deal with the technological difficulties because of online learning. Still now, my school, 50 to 60% of the classes are offered online, so they have less opportunities to meet each other compared to, before COVID era. So it leads to the loss of motivation and social isolation. Because I experienced, witnessing those students' problems, I started thinking that promoting students' well-being is one of the most important things as a college instructor. Of course, language development, helping students' language development is important, but well-being is something I have been really focusing on. Because if the students have a good relationship with others, they perform well academically. That's one of the reasons I started focusing on promoting students' well-being. Is one of the most important objectives I have now. So to promote students' well-being, I am just a college language instructor. I only have 90 minutes a week. So what I can do, so I am trying to emphasize on giving students a lot of opportunities to interact with each other. So that means I can, offer a lot of group work. Group work is something I can do to, boost opportunities to interact. So I usually have these objectives when I create the class, plan the class. Students have to at least have 3 times to work with each other, and 6% of the class time usually spent for pair or group work, not just listen to my talk or individual work, which they can do at home. So 60%, that's usually my goal. And they need to learn their classmates. They need to learn about their classmates. I want to encourage students to learn about their classmates. So the group work, when you say group work has a lot of benefits, and especially Longan Porter famously laid out 5 benefits students can get from the group work. And especially, I like the idea that group work promotes a positive, affective climate and motivate learners. And when I try to promote the group work, there's some problems because not all the group work can include cooperation. Sometimes we tend to put students, in pairs and discuss some things, but that doesn't mean that they're cooperating. So cooperative learning has its own definition. It's an structural use of small groups so that students work together to maximize their own and each other's learning. So it's not just an individual success, it's the success of the group. It's a group effort. And famously, Johnson & Johnson, Halbeck, and Kagan, they introduced the 5 important components, or 4 for Kagan, the principles when we are implementing the group work. I usually think about especially these 2 elements, which are identical in both researchers. So positive interdependence and individual accountability, I always think about these 2 elements, to put these 2 elements into the group work. So what are these? So positive interdependence means that you cannot succeed unless your partner succeed. So if you are working on the same exercise together, that doesn't mean that they need interdependence. So you really need to need your partner to complete the exercise. That's what positive interdependence means. And individual accountability, it overlaps some concept, but individual accountability is more like that you have the responsibility to for the group success. So even if one person didn't do and then other people cover, that doesn't mean that you have individual accountability. So the success of the group should be the sum of everybody's work. But sometimes I plan the group work well, and then this group worked really good, but this group didn't really work well. That happened, that I experienced a lot of that problem a lot. And because cooperative tasks are difficult to achieve if the students do not like each other or do not talk with each other, that's why I started thinking about building group cohesion. Group cohesion is defined as unity of the group, or closeness and a feeling of being part of the group. So it's like a friendship. They care about each other. That's the group cohesion. So implementing cooperative activity, at the same time, I try to build the group cohesion. The both two concepts, I try to put that as much effort. And in fact, group cohesion has lots of good benefit. If the group is cohesive, they work better, more productive, and then they feel more positively toward learning environment, and they are more willing to communicate with each other if they have the group cohesion. But the most importantly, how do we build the group cohesion? That's the question I always have. And I learned a lot from previous research, and they need to spend much time together and share genuine personal information, experience, memories, and they have to learn each other's names. Surprisingly, college students don't know each other's names in class, especially 45 students I have, they don't know each other yet. And, still, even in week 14, some of them don't really know each other. So I put a lot of emphasis on names and, find things in common, listen to each other, and give some positive comments. I try to put these elements into the group work. So now I am introducing some of the activities I do based on the cooperative learning structure. I created some of the activities in 3-step interview plus and missionaries. These are the two things I love, but I don't have time to explain everything. So I am today focusing on 3-step interview plus. So 3-step interview is the one of basic Kagan structure. So if you know Kagan is a well-known researcher in the field of cooperative learning, and he introduced a 3-step interview. As you can see in the name, the other 3-step, students ask questions to their partner, and after that, they take turn introducing their partner to another pair, and after that, they have to share the summary of the group to the class. And then I think a lot of people experience this type of activities already, but I put plus on 3-step interview because I add more elements. So after students ask each other questions, they have to repeat and summarize information they learned. And after sharing the summary of the group to the class, they have to write a short report, like individually in class chat. So I learned a lot about online learning, and then we started using online chat a lot. So chat is one of the good function I could use for the class. So there are not 3 now, 5 elements involved, 5 steps involved. So rally robin, round robin is probably the names you have heard. It's Kagan structure. It's similar to 3-step interview. 3-step interview is kind of the application of rally robin, round robin, with sharing information with each other. So by doing this, students can practice summarizing the information and be responsible for listening, not just sharing the information. They have to listen. And they have more opportunities for redundant output and input because they have to use the same information again and again in the activity. So I'm kind of sharing some ideas, but especially I learned active listening and the mirroring technique, which I learned from JASI. JASI is a Japan Association for Study of Cooperation in Education. I'm a member of the organization, and they put a lot of focus on listening. So active listening and mirroring is one of the concepts I usually talk to my students. They have to listen and then mirror. This is probably related to the psychology or different type of a different field, borrowed from a different field, but you can use this in any type of activities that I always ask students to listen and repeat the information they learn. It motivates students and give responsibility to talk clearly because your partner has to repeat the information. And because of the redundancy, they have the deeper understanding. It's related to building cohesion. And this is one of the activity I often do. So I'm just introducing briefly. It's a self-introduction activity based on the 3-step interview plus technique. Usually I do this in the beginning of the semester because it's a self-introduction. So these are the procedures. I am going to talk about the procedures one by one. So first, they have to prepare a short speech. This is not an interview, but it's an application of the 3-step interview plus. But this time, just a little short speech. So students just prepare the self-introduction speech, but usually I try to have a student add some fun, happy, surprising fact. As I said, like genuine information, sharing genuine information is very important. So they can just talk about some fun stuff. For example, I can say, my name is Eriko, I live in Nagoya, I like ice cream. I often buy a big bucket of ice cream and then eat it all by myself. That type of small, happy fact. And the students give the self-introduction speech to the partner. They have to listen carefully. Then I always instruct students not to take notes because they have to listen carefully, so that they have to listen carefully. and it says thank you and summarize the information. It's going to be like this. Thank you for the self-introduction. You're Eriko, you live in Nagoya, you like ice cream and blah, blah, blah. So thank you and Eriko, the name's important. They have to repeat the name. And the next step is introducing your partner to another pair. So they have to introduce, and then of course, when you are listening, say thank you. So it's going to be like this. Hi, everyone, I'm Taka. This is Eriko. She likes blah, blah, blah. And then everybody has to say thank you to the presenter. So thank you element and names. They have to repeat the names many times. And then after that, they have to introduce the group members to class. So if there are 16 students, 4 groups, so 1 representative, but representative, they don't know if they have to represent or not. So everyone has to be kind of nervous. Maybe they are getting a chance to represent the group. So they all have the responsibility to remember the information of the classmates, but only name and 1 piece of information will be fine. It's going to be like, hi everyone, my name is Eriko, I like ice cream, and this is Taka, she likes soccer, she likes blah, blah. Everything is just 1 short summary of the group. And then everyone says, thank you, Eriko. So this is the 5th step. They have to write a short report. This is the actual students writing. I know it's the writing is just really small. I know that it's really hard for you to see, but they have to write about the classmates. Of course, they have to write the names and some of the information they learned from the classmates from the activity. And then I ask the students to add a summary or comment in the end. So for example, one of the students says, I'm happy because all of us like sports. Or they say, all of us are living in Aichi. Some kind of summary comment. So through this activity, they learn a lot about each other, and then they repeat the names again and again and say thank you in the presentation part. So I think that is very important to build the cohesion. And this is a missionary activity. I don't have time to explain, but if you have some questions, you can ask me later. This is based on Kagan structure, 1 stray. If you want to Google 1 stray, I think you can get some information. So I have to go ahead and talk about the data. I have these research questions because I am focusing on group cohesion and cooperative learning. I want to know if the cooperative activities have what kind of influence it has on group cohesion. And at the same time, I wanted to know if this changes learners' perspectives on their abilities and willingness to communicate in English. So the data, I use 3 methods. First one is exit slip. I ask after every class, I asked students a lot of questions about the group cohesion. And I took the questionnaire pre and post to explore students' perceived English speaking skill and the willingness to communicate. And I conducted interview with 3 students. So my class usually have 3-week cycle because this is a reading class. I have first 2-week students focus on reading and pair work, and Rally Robin is the main activity. And the 3rd week, they had the missionary activity, which is the group work, where students spend most of the time together. Maybe like 70–80% of the class was spent in group. So here is the result of the group cohesion survey. I asked, these are the items I asked the students. I enjoyed working with others. I tried to contribute to the group. I got to learn about classmates. My group worked well together. And item E was added later. So only like 3 times they answered the last one. My partner tried to work together. But as you can see, week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 15, this is the bottom numbers are the week numbers. And week 5 and week 8, week 5, week 8, and week 15 are the group work week. They spend much time together compared to other weeks. So they feel that they are more cohesive after they spend much time together. The length of the time they spend together in class is actually very important. This supports the previous research. And this is the result of the pre and post difference perceived English speaking skills. I asked if they can do these activities 1 through 5. 1, well, I can do it all. I can't do it at all. And in 5, I can do it well. And as you can see, obviously, from the pre to post, they have they grown a lot. They are more confident. They're more confident in their speaking, and especially these elements, starting a conversation, introduce themselves and exchange greeting. This is pretty much related to initiating a conversation, which is a really important perspective in WTC, willingness to communicate, because they're ready to start the conversation. And I directly asked the WTC questions as well. How willing are you to communicate in English when you have an opportunity to talk with a stranger or with a teacher or with a group of foreigners, or speak in front of the classes? And the second, fourth, and sixth items are related to classroom situation. So compared to other situations outside the classroom, classroom elements improved a lot. Well, in class, I didn't really deal with outside class elements. So that's, of course, it's one of the problems. But in class, I think they're more willing to communicate with a teacher and with the classmates. And here are some of the comments from the interview. And most of the comments are positive. Students enjoyed working together. They feel like they talked with almost everybody, and they talk with new people, and they think it's helpful. But in terms of like accuracy, the language accuracy, because I didn't really put a lot of emphasis on the accuracy of the language when they're having discussion or conversation, some of the students feel like they can't speak well still, or they couldn't practice speaking. So I probably have to think about the balance between the language practice and the cohesion, improving the cohesion. So now the discussion. Do I have time? I didn't really see it at that time.
So you have about a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it's a group cohesion. So is it the group work, cooperative activity have some effect on group cohesion? It's actually higher cohesion score on activity days. It's not a stable growth. It's really dynamic, but influenced by content. But as I said, the length of the time spending together is important. It's very effective to give students much time to be together in one group. And passive English ability and WTC, as I said, initiating a conversation, they are more confident in initiating a conversation. And classroom WTC in class, I think they are more confident and feeling competent. So this result support the previous research. They think a lot of opportunity to talk with classmates can make the students feel more confident, and they're more comfortable speaking English. But there are some limitations. Students' interaction outside of class is unknown, so they might feel they might build the good friendship outside of the class. So we don't really know that is the reason why they are more feeling close or feeling like they're already built a cohesion. So include more qualitative data to investigate the students' interaction for the future research for me. Maybe I can video record the students' conversation and I can ask the question about their community. And language development was less focused in class. As I said, some students are not really satisfied of their time to practice the language. So I have to plan more carefully, and better time management is needed, and create the balance between team building and the language learning. So I keep focusing on cooperative learning and group cohesion, and ultimately I want to help students build well-being as a college instructor. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you.